World champion athletes know about this one. Inflammation literally means to catch on fire. And world champion athletes know the pain and misery of hard training. But we're going to talk about the part in between, and that's your recovery, because that's when you actually get better. Because you've got to find the sweet spot in your training and recovery. You can't be down and out and trashed all the time. And you can never out-train your recovery capacity. All right. And it's not easy. There's definitely an art to it, along with a whole lot of science. All right, so what are we talking about? Here's the bottom line, big picture. Everybody knows the more you train, the better you get. To a certain point, and that certain point would be you reach your peak. That's where you want to be on game day or race day. And we know if we keep going, then we're going to face burnout. And the worst thing is there's zero potential when you're here, when you're training like that. And so it's always best, and this is why we always have a plan, is to underdo it a little bit, to maintain a sense of vitality, to experience a sense of vitality and being alive and being motivated on a regular basis. For some athletes, that's once a week, some once a month, certainly more than once a year, as I have to tell a lot of my athletes. It's important. But of course, when you train like this, when you train at this point right here, you have potential. And that's what we're really after, because we want to improve. We want to continually improve as we move along. And at the heart of this problem, once again, big picture, is the point where your expectations and the true reality of your situation diverge right here. Okay, so that's why it's so important to have a plan, to listen to your body, and to be patient, because you've got to make sure you live to fight another day. All right, one of the defining characteristics of world champion athletes is their ability to know how it really works when you talk about training hard. And I've picked this scale. I like this 1 to 10 scale. There's a ton of these different scales out there with different numbers. But this is a very simple, straightforward 1 to 10. And when you look at it, it's a critical concept to understand that a 7 is training hard, okay? And people often overlook that when they think about training hard. They think it has to be down here at a 9 or a 10. But realize when you're at a 7 out of 10, you're working hard. And sure, you're going to have to touch on the 8, 9, and 10 zones when you're preparing for competition or whether you're trying to peak. But you got to be very careful with that. Once again, you need to have a plan, and then understand that a workout in that 9 or 10 range a lot of times will take 2 or 3 additional days to recover from, or more than a 7 level workout. So let's look at the other side of the coin. We talked about the intensity of your training. Now let's talk about the intensity of your recovery, and primarily how you feel during your recovery period. And say we just look at where you are the next morning. I think that's a good way to analyze, evaluate where you are, is how you feel after you get up and get moving around a bit. Because, you know, if you're in this middle range, you're probably sitting pretty good. You're probably going to recover pretty quickly. Maybe you have 1 or 2 days of rest, and you come back, and we want to get back out there, and we should be feeling somewhere, you know, in this range, feeling fair to good, maybe really good in certain workouts. But you've got to be careful. If you're going to go in that hole, once again, if you're going to train super hard, you're going to go down into this hole. And if you get down here 1, 2s, and 3s, that recovery period obviously is going to be a lot longer. And unfortunately, that recovery period a lot of times increases exponentially. So whereas when you wake up and you're at a level 5, you may recover completely in, say, 24 hours. If you wake up at a 2, you might be looking at 48, 72, or even more to get back out there and training hard again. Because once again, big picture, bottom line, as you go along in your training, you've got to get better. You've got to be improving. And so you take these dips, you train, you're down, you recover, you're better. And so we need to see this moving upwards continually over time. Because if you don't, what you do is you do this big load of training, you go in this hole, you feel terrible, and then you come out, you started here, and you come out exactly where you started. And so you did that. You abused yourself for absolutely no reason. So if you want to really get deep into the nuts and bolts of your recovery and what really goes on inside your body during that recovery period, and more importantly, how you can speed that process along, join us from our Rising from the Ashes, our exercise pathophysiology, and learn all about your recovery and inflammation and what it's doing to your body.